So another thing that we got after Adepticon was, well, actually, we picked ours up at Adepticon, the new vehicles from Wreckage, and when you're painting vehicles, it is best if you can do some airbrush, and so you're going to show us some cool airbrush techniques for vehicles.
Yeah, definitely. Larger surfaces, it's a lot easier than trying to mess around with the brush. More quick and effective. But yeah, shout out to our friends at Wreckage for giving us these vehicles to work on. I think they're super cool kits too. It's like very much fits their theme, and they look very toyed, as the kids say.
I think they do this. They do say that. Yeah, I like them a lot. I really like the kind of modularity and stuff like that. But you are going to make it look like super cool, but also Wreckage.
Yeah, Wreckage. So dingy.
Post-apocalyptic.
But yeah, this is a really fun airbrush technique, and it's just like with all the things I'm showing people, you can kind of flip it and reverse it and make it your own thing. But yeah, I mean, you'll see in the video, we start off with the black and white base coat and then start tinting over that. And yeah, I think the end result is really fun and something to play around with, most importantly. So in the essence of like experimenting and discovering new things for yourself, this is a super fun one. I'm not going to really add much on the note of diluting your paints because there's so much written about it online already, and that's how I learned. Like, just look into it, because airbrushing is used in so many different fields too, so you can really take advice from a lot of different types of artists, you know, not just mini painters, but you're going for the skim milk consistency basically. For this first coat, I'm using white, so I thin it down even more than necessary, or than an ordinary paint, because white tends to be a little chalky. And just like painting with a brush, it's many thin layers. If you're gonna pull back all the way on the brush, you're gonna get sputtering, splattering. I should probably throw in, I'm spraying at like 25 PSI. You want it to be at a certain pressure so the paint can atomize and, you know, you get that nice smoky spray. So without further ado, I'll just show you what I'm doing. So I've got a little bit of, I'm using Vallejo Model Air, and got it thinned down. Just to make sure there's nothing in the line, I usually spray my thumb first to get all the sparks and sputters out of the way. I'll even test it on the bottom of the figure. You can see I was trying that out before the video. I'll kind of give you an idea of the consistency. See, it's so thin, and it's even going to desaturate as it dries a little bit. But yeah, airbrushing is fun. You can take advantage of the three-dimensional aspect of the object. You know, it's almost like the airbrush is its own little sun without getting too crazy about things. But you can see by controlling the angles, like the door on the side here, you can see it kind of sticking out. And I'm going at it at about a 45-degree angle. The white paint is going to catch more on that raised edge, like so. So just control your angles. You can get masking tape if you want, but you won't need it for this. Maybe in the future when I'm taking one of the doors or something, making a different color, because I mean it's Wreckage, so everything is salvaged. Spray down like that, and you can see, you know, it's drying, dulling down to kind of a gray. That's fine because I'll keep adding paint, but I'll shore my highlights up, you know. So we'll kind of have a gray like mid-tone established, and then just keep adding more layers, but being kind of backing it off little by little. Get the hubcaps there, rooftop. Drying. I'm probably gonna do about 3 passes with this. Get the mirror. 3 passes meaning like I apply the paint and 1 to 100 sputters. I let it dry. I do another pass. 3 passes. Don't do 100 passes. I just like to take things to the extreme. You can see it's so thin. You know, if I were to keep blowing paint on this, it would start to push it around, so you want to kind of mist it and walk away. I will intentionally mess it up on this canopy right here so you can see what I'm talking about, right? So there's a nice smooth little dot, a little sputter, if I keep going at it without letting it dry, it's gonna start getting real weird on me. But this part that's already dried here, just kind of add to it a little bit, walk away from it, or just move your wrist. You can stay sitting. And just like so. Really, the airbrush is super fun because you're really working with the transparencies of the paint. And you'll see how that comes into play on the next step when I start adding color to it. But I think you get the impression here. I'm gonna add a few more coats off scene to keep this video short enough and viewable. But yeah, we'll catch you on the next step. Okay, so we've got our black and white base coat. And now what we're gonna do is kind of spray our paint into the mid-zone. It's not a very hard rule. Like if you cover some of the white, it's okay because the paint's thinned down. We're working with the transparencies. Kind of imagine you're unrolling a sheet of tint over a nice like even glaze coat over the surface. So give you a little idea of how my paint is thinned out. I'm using Ordic Olive from P3. It's kind of like a military green. So without further ado, we'll get to work. Now kind of remember, spray around the lighter areas. Leave some of the black showing, like so. I'm gonna come back to it for a second pass. You just want to make sure you're not pushing too much paint around with your stream. Like so. We can see right down there is a good example. Leaving some of the black showing, leaving a little white visible on the fenders there. Alright, don't forget about the rear. Alright, coming back just to increase saturation, get a nice pure tone going on. Don't leave the mirrors out of the equation. And I'm just going to add a little bit of, on the top, you know, the black area wasn't so heavy because the light would be coming straight down in that area. So I'm going to get some shadows by just applying a little bit more of the base coat. A little bit more of the Ordic Olive. Alright, just like so. Alright. Shazam. Looking pretty good. So the next step, we're going to start working on the shadows again. All right, the next step is going to be kind of a quick one. I just want to reestablish the black, the darker field. Kind of gives me a chance to clean up some areas. And I also want to say, like, so you're working with a cone, right? The spray is coming out. As you pull the trigger back, it widens the cone. That doesn't necessarily mean that you have to spray with the center of the cone. A lot of the time, I'm holding it off center and just using a part of that circle that's created by the spray. That means, as you can see, right down here, I'm not going to try spraying directly to this spot. I'm going to be more aiming down here. Let's do a little test spray to get all the gunk out of the tube. Just like that. Same with and I don't want the shadows to be just like extreme black, so I'm not even lining along the whole bottom. I'm just kind of doing some dots here and there. Yeah, I don't always have to do this step, but for the sake of demonstration, just want to show how you can kind of clean things up if need be. Let's get that little shadow that's being cast by the tarp. Also, you can see there's a little hole here. Later on, there's going to be a Gatling gun attached to this ride, so just going to add a little bit of black shadow right there. Yeah, this is a quicker step. I think I'm good with that. All right, so now I'm juiced up with some ink. I'm going to be diluted, of course. I'm using some Sepia tone from FW Ink. And again, we're just spraying that over the areas that we hit with the black. And this dirty brown will harmonize nicely with the green. Make everything look oh so Rec Age. So, just apply it like so. Yeah, I might be a little silent here because we're just kind of repeating the process. It's all about building up many thin layers, working gradually. There we go. A little bit about the front fenders and the back side. Okay. Going to go for a second pass. Remember not to be too heavy-handed with the airbrush, even though it's very tempting. You get quick results, you get quick mistakes as well. So just chill out. Cool. Alrighty. Next we're going to add some highlights. Alright, so the final step. I know you're thinking to yourself, this looks absolutely perfect. What else could I do to it? If you want to stop there, that's cool. You're going for more of a dead green, but I wanted to go the extra mile for my friends at Rec Age, and I added just a little bit of P3's Moldy Ochre into that base color, and I'm just gonna concentrate on the lighter white areas and just highlight it up. Tone it out with some yellow. So, yeah, I'd suggest getting yourself some watercolor paper or like a thicker notepad paper and just practice getting your dots down. It's very important to be able to do that with an airbrush. So, spray it down there. Just like so, using the three-dimensional object to our advantage. Yeah, pretty good. It's easy to cover the whiter areas up, but yeah, we're all good there. Thanks for checking this out. Thanks to Adam and all the people at Tabletop Minions. If you want to follow along with more of what I do, check me out on Instagram. I'm Sam Lenz, the Fantasy Art of Sam Lenz on Facebook, and samsonminis.blogspot.com. And then I'm also in some Tabletop Minions videos, but you already know that. So see you next time.
So, all right.
I don't know if I'm gonna kick it off or if you're gonna kick it off.
No, I will usually kick it off.
Whatever,
It just makes it
yeah.
easier. I'll just ask the
You're the
questions.
host.
That's true. Let's see here. So,